Philadelphia Journal Entry Number 1. Okay, first journal entry in a new city. The move has gone smoothly, at least so far. I got a steal on this apartment contract. It's an older place, but that's what you get here in downtown Philadelphia. More importantly, my first week of work at the magazine had been going great. The editors had some extremely insightful critiques in the photos that I've submitted so far. And honestly, my biggest complaint is that I wish they'd give me more work to do. The other photography interns seem pretty cool as well. I went out drinking with the rest of the interns after work yesterday afternoon. It went well with exception of this weird guy I saw as we went walking through a part of Old Town. I looked over my shoulder and caught sight of some guy in a fedora and an overcoat, staring directly at me. I grabbed the attention of the other interns to point him out, but when they had turned back to look, he was gone. I still had my camera, so I decided to take a picture of the empty alleyway anyway. It was unsettling, but the weirdest part happened when I developed that picture today. Somehow the fedora guy showed up in the photo that I took. I mean, maybe he had popped back out of an alley while I was getting my camera ready, but that doesn't make much sense to me, but it's the only thing that I can think of. Here's the picture that I took. Philadelphia Journal Entry Number 2. Should I start with the good news or the bad news? The good news is I've been going out a lot with Jenny, a girl that I met on Tinder. We've gone on a few dates and she seems like a genuinely good person. So here's hoping that I don't screw it up. The bad news is that I saw that guy in the fedora again. I was walking up to my apartment and saw movement in the hallway that leads up to my place. I tried to make out what was happening in the darkness, but it was just too dark. I pulled out my phone and took a picture with the flash on. When the light illuminated the hallway, it had partially blinded me. But it was enough for me to see him standing up the stairs with that same hat, that same coat, and the same stare. The paint must have messed with the white balance on my phone because he looked extremely dark in the picture. Here's the picture that I took. I immediately ran back to the street and I called the cops. When they arrived a half hour later, I showed them the photo. 2 officers walked through my apartment and the surrounding area but found no sign of him. God, it gives me goosebumps to think that some guy might be stalking me. I don't even know anyone from this city. Philadelphia Journal Entry Number 3. It's 11 p.m. as I write this. I feel uncomfortable, on edge for some reason. I think it's my apartment. I read a post a while back about a guy who thought that he was going crazy because he kept discovering post-it notes that he didn't remember writing. In his case, there was a carbon monoxide leak that made him forget. I don't think that's happening to me, but it's the only thing I can think that explains what I've been feeling. A few minutes ago, I was laying in bed and fiddling with my 35mm camera when the door to my bedroom swung open. I'm still not used to this apartment, so I figured there had probably been just a change in pressure. Maybe a window opened somewhere that caused wind pressure to push the door open. But something about that open doorway with nothing but darkness behind forced me to keep staring. I picked up my camera and took a picture of the doorway and then a second picture. My entire body broke out in goosebumps and I had the distinct impression that something was standing very close to me. I got to my feet and walked to a nearby shelf where I keep a processing kit alongside some chemicals that I use to develop pictures. I gathered all the supplies that I would need and I walked into my bathroom. I want to see what's in these 2 pictures that I just took, so I'm going to create an improvised dark room to develop them. Here's hoping to God that I didn't capture anything interesting. Philadelphia Journal entry number 4. I'm writing this entry from Jenny's couch. It's a little after 1 a.m. and my hands won't stop shaking. Shortly after writing the last entry, I created a makeshift dark room using a lot of the same techniques that I've used to make dark rooms in my other apartments. I set aside the equipment alongside the different chemicals that I would need, and then I sat for a few minutes to let my eyes adjust so that I could eliminate any unnecessary sources of light. A significant amount of light was leaking from under the door, so I took a towel and I stuffed it alongside the bottom. Once I was satisfied with the level of darkness, I started a process of developing the 2 pictures that I had taken. Working in the absolute darkness was difficult, but I knew my way around the chemicals and these supplies to stumble through. I was almost done when someone in my living room began laughing. My phone was in the bedroom. I had left it for the fear that a random notification would spill light into my makeshift dark room. That meant calling the police was out of the question. A part of me wanted to immediately throw open the door and make a dash for the phone, but if I left now, the light would ruin my pictures. I grit my teeth, reached over to lock the bathroom door, and waited for the process to finish. When the pictures were ready, I flipped the light on and looked down at the negatives. The man in my living room continued to laugh. Here are the 2 pictures that I developed. My stomach dropped, but I pushed open the bathroom door anyway. I crept to my bedroom, grabbed my phone, and called the police as the man in the living room continued to give sporadic, crazed guffaws. 911 told me that the police would arrive in a few minutes, but I decided that that wasn't enough. I picked up my desk chair in one hand and held my phone's camera out in the other. "Hey," I called out. The laughter stopped. I walked down the hallway to the living room, taking pictures with my phone the whole time. I flicked on the lights and raised the chair, ready to strike. There was no one there. I waited in the living room with my hands on the chair until the police had arrived a few minutes later. They took my statement and then accompanied me to my car. Calling Jenny, the girl from Tinder, I asked her to spend the night on her couch, which was kind of awkward, but I would take awkward over spending another minute in that apartment alone. When I arrived at her place, I told her the story about what had happened, and I showed her the 2 pictures that I had taken of the man in that hat, that fedora and that coat. She asked about the laughing man in the living room, and I told her that I hadn't seen anything. When she asked about the pictures that I had taken on my phone, I realized that I hadn't checked them yet. I pulled out my phone and I opened up the camera app, and then broke out in a shudder. This is the picture that I saw. I don't know what I'm going to do about my apartment contract. I don't know if I can stay in this city. If I find anything else out, I'll make sure to update you all right here.